Hello everyone and welcome to today's kettlebell session. We're going to carry on working through some of our big movements to get the heart rate up and get the calories burning, and we're going to play around with some new movements as well. Be ready to start your warm up with some star jumps, 30 seconds. Please be patient with the lighting in the warm up. Later on in the video I noticed that the lighting wasn't great, so I reshot some things and you'll see some better demonstrations of the exercises later on. Around now we're going to start moving on into our squats. So we've got the feet fairly wide, the toes are out about 10 to 2. Sit down as low as you can with your chest up. Now we're going to do some glute bridges, so laying down, feet a few steps away from your hips, and then squeeze your glutes, dig in through your heels, and push your hips up. 30 seconds again. And now into our mountain climber stretch. So start in the press up position, take your right foot up to your right hand and then lift your right hand to the ceiling, and then swap sides. Left foot to left hand to the ceiling, and keep swapping. Just reach the foot up, push the heel down, get your hips down and lift your chest. Just keep stepping through this fairly regularly, unless you feel tight, in which case you can hold that in position and enjoy the stretch a little bit longer. Just remember, we are warming up, so you still want to be moving as much as you can. And now we're going to warm the shoulders up with some downward dog. So in your press up position, push your head and chest through the middle, push your hips up and back, try to get your heels down to the floor. Should get a stretch in your hamstrings as well as working the shoulders. If you really focus on trying to push the floor away from your head, you should get both those elements included in this exercise. So we've got 20 seconds until the first exercise starts. You just need your kettlebells. Now the first exercise is either a bent over row or a bent over row into a snatch. Now we're not going to cover the snatch today if you've never done it before. If you don't know how to do the movement where you pull the weight up to overhead, then just do your bent over rows for now, and I'll cover the snatch in a future video. Let's go. To recap, if you know how to do your snatch, you're doing one row and then one snatch on the same arm for the whole time. If you don't, then you're just doing the row. If it's just one weight you've got, then just do one arm. If you've got two weights, do two arms. On the row, make sure you really squeeze the shoulder back without twisting too much. And on the snatch, really use that hip power to drive that weight up. Good job, guys. You'll need your weight in two hands now. You're going to do two squats, and at the top of the second one, you're going to press the weight over the top of your head. Two squats, one press. Okay, so moving back to our first exercise, but this time on the other arm, or it's more bent over rows if you have the 2 weights there and you haven't done the snatch before. Off we go. Okay, revisiting our clean from previous weeks now, catching at shoulder height and pressing straight up overhead. Again, stay focused on one arm for this round. Try not to pull the weight too high so it bounces on your wrist. Pull it into the shoulder and drive that weight up straight. Remember that to have a strong pressing position, your elbow should be slightly further out than your kettlebell to start with, so that your arm isn't pulled out of place. So same thing on the other side now. Remember, the power from the clean comes from your hips and your legs. The arm just guides it into place. Now we're going to incorporate our burpee into a deadlift. So you drop down to the press up position, take hold of your weight, straighten your back and push through your legs to lift the weight. Keep trying to find your flat back position before you lift the weight, and that will pay off both in terms of your deadlift technique and your burpee technique in the future. And we have one more. We have our boat press, so sitting on your lower back, crunching up slightly and pressing the weight over the top of your head. Try to keep yourself as stable as possible and don't push back behind your head because you will tip over. Alright, that's the first round done. As most of you know, you'll have 30 seconds rest now, and then we're back to our first exercise again, which is either your bent over row or your row to snatch. So make sure you've had a drink, make sure you've got your space and your kit ready, and we'll start in about 15 seconds. Remember, if you're rowing, squeeze the shoulder blade. If you're rowing and snatching, pull that weight nice and high, drive the arm straight at the top. Now it's our 2 squats, 1 press. Squat nice and low and use the momentum of standing up to drive that weight high. And it's time for our other arm on the row to snatch or the bent over row. Now we're moving on to our clean and press. Catch that weight on the shoulder, keep the wrist nice and neutral, and then press up strong. And time for the other arm. And it's burpees to deadlift now. Drop down into that press up position, bring your feet in, straighten your back and lift that weight. And lastly, it's that boat press. Hold the tension in the abs and press the weight up over the top of your head. Well done guys, we've got time for one more round unless you're going to repeat the video for extra work today. So make sure you've had your drink, make sure you're ready to start with your row or row to snatch, and listen out for the beeps and I'll join you again for the cooldown. Excellent work, guys. That was your last round and you are now officially done for the day, again unless you're repeating the workout. We're going to use one of our cooldowns from last week because that was quite a thorough stretch of the body, so stay tuned for that and enjoy your cooldown. Make sure you're taking nice deep breaths, bringing your breathing back under control, bringing your heart rate down. We've got a little bit longer before we start stretching. Make sure you've got some space on the floor. Starting with our laying glute stretch. So we're going to lay down, cross one leg over the other, reach your hand through the gap in the middle and pull your leg in. If your left leg is across your body like it is on mine, then you should feel this in your left glute. And change side over to the other leg. Time for our hamstring stretch now. So one leg lifts up to the ceiling, other leg is on the floor, but the toes are still pointing up to the ceiling. And you'll notice I'm trying something different today. With my leg that's stretching, I'm flexing the ankle forwards and backwards just to move into a slightly deeper stretch and then ease off slightly. If, like me, your hamstrings are quite tight and they shake when they do this stretch, then moving with the ankle like this can just alleviate some of that without sacrificing the stretch. And change leg. Moving on to stretch our traps now. So sitting upright, relax your shoulders and then reach over your head and pull your ear to your shoulder. And change side. And in that same sitting position, we're going to reach the arm high, tilt across the body and support your weight with your other arm down to the floor. So you're trying to roll over to the side. You can lean slightly forward or slightly back as well. And just keep your knees on the tops of your feet as well. Okay, bring yourself to the top, reach up and go over to the other side. Changing stretch now, we're going to go up onto one knee and up into a kneeling hip flexor stretch. With this, you want to squeeze the glutes, you want to push forward from the pelvis, not from the lower back. And it's time to change side. Good job everyone, be sure to let me know if you did this workout today, and tomorrow stay tuned for a circuit class.